Hi, and welcome to Ed Talk. This is the show that discusses local education in our Nevada County schools. I'm your host, Scott Lay, Nevada County Superintendent of Schools. Today, our topic is the Restorative Accountability Youth Solution, better known as RAISE. This is a restorative justice program in our schools, and with me to talk more about that, how it's going, what they've learned over the last several years is Marlene Mahurin, who is kind of the brainchild behind it. And we're thrilled that you could be with us today. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you. This is such an amazing program that we have here in Nevada County. We're very lucky, and you've spearheaded it for years to make sure it's available for our students. So when we get into it, give me a little background about you and how you got into this world, and then we'll talk about RAISE and the students and the schools that are participating.
Sure. Yeah. So I have been working in some realm with teenagers pretty much my whole career. I started as a classroom teacher, but then I quickly moved on to focusing more on pretty much all the prevention education topics that are relatable to teenagers. So there's a lot of them. And so I've sort of had this mission of helping teenagers be informed and supported to ideally safely navigate through their teen years and to be on the path that they would like to be on by the time they, graduate high school and go out into the world. So yeah, I have a history of that. I've been working at the Nevada County Superintendent of Schools now. I believe this is my 10th year. I've done a lot of work with TUPE, which is the Tobacco Use Prevention Education. And part of TUPE is looking at ways to support students who are struggling with nicotine addiction without suspending them and having them leave school. And so that was sort of how I got the brainchild for RAISE, was from getting the support through TUPE of, we need to start looking at ways to support students that keeps them at school, but also helps them address their struggles and also ideally supports them so they can get through the school day without using substances.
Right. Well, that's, so important, and having an alternate means and another avenue, another road for these students to move forward and be successful, which is always our main goal. Now, you've had this came about, I can't remember, 4 years ago, 5 years, the brainchild, I remember you first talked to me about it, and then I'm like, great, good, and then you just ran with it. So kind of tell us, how did we get this grant and this program going here in Nevada County? Because there's not a lot of neighboring counties that have this, or especially rural counties.
Yeah, so I had been at a conference back in, it was pre-2020 COVID times, and I had learned of a program similar in Marin County where they were using student-led, restorative practice-based programs to address substance use on school campuses. And I was super intrigued by the idea. I thought it seemed amazing, but at the time we didn't have any funding to create such a thing. And so in 2021, I applied for a Prop 64 grant, and Prop 64 was the proposition that legalized adult recreational marijuana use. And part of that proposition said that they would give back a certain percentage of tax revenue to support students who might be negatively impacted by that legalization. So when I learned of this funding opportunity, I was very excited because I thought, this maybe is our chance to be able to create a program. So I applied for this grant and thankfully was chosen as a recipient of it. And so, that was sort of the start of it all with getting the funding. But then the next step really was, how do we now create this program?
You got the money.
We got the money,
exciting.
yes.
It was a feat unto itself.
Right.
To get that, because we don't get a lot of grants in our county. Well, we do get a lot of grants, but it's very tough because we don't have the demographics. We're usually competing with more diverse counties, which usually bring you higher up in the grading scale. So it was quite a coup for you to get that grant. But then you get the money, and then it's like, oh no, now I actually have to do a program.
Yeah, there was a little bit of an oh no feeling, now we actually have to create all of this, and where do we begin? And I was super fortunate that pretty much immediately, Steve Hansen, who has been working with the Nevada Joint Union High School District for over 30 years now, was brought on as the restorative practices coordinator. And he already at that time had an extensive background in restorative practices and was highly trained in that. And also was just, a very experienced educator who has a gift for working with students and connecting with students. So that was like winning the lottery, getting him. And the two of us just spent many months talking about what is this going to look like? How are we going to get students who want to participate? I think we had no idea all of the nuances that would be involved with creating this program and all of the various steps, which we've now learned over the years. But that was sort of the beginning.
That was it, yeah. And you have to jump in with both feet and try to move forward, see what happens.
Yes.
So looking at the program, really to explain to our viewers, we know that the goal is to have another avenue, but let's talk about how does this work? How does
what is RAISE?
When someone says RAISE, and they're hearing about it in our schools, to say the full name, which I always have to look down because I always call RAISE. I have for years, Restorative Accountability Youth Solution. What are we telling? What are we actually doing? How does it work in the school?
Yeah, so RAISE is a program that we have at 4 schools here in Nevada County. We started at Silver Springs. That was our first location. And then we rolled out programs at Bear River High School, Lyman Gilmore Middle School, and then finally Nevada Union. And so we did that.
3 high schools, 1 middle school right now.
2 traditional high schools, 1 continuation high school, and 1 feeder middle school into Nevada Union. And we were sort of intentional about how we rolled out the program because we wanted to start small while we were working out all the kinks and figuring things out, as this was just a brand new program that we'd never done before.
Well, I'm sure you got a little intimidation by the administration at both Nevada Joint Union High School District and Grass Valley. Like, what is this program? Is it worth us investing time, energy to overcome that little hurdle?
Yeah. Thankfully, when we started at Silver Springs at the time, Scott Michael Heine was the assistant principal there, and he and I had actually worked on writing the grant together because he was very experienced in grant writing and I wasn't. So that was a really nice situation because he was on board with the program. Yes, he knew exactly what we were trying to do. So that made it easy. And I think that at first maybe schools were a little bit like, what is this going to be? But thankfully they've been very supportive of our program. So
been great,
they have, and been behind us all the way. So what RAISE is? RAISE is an acronym, and the first part is restorative accountable. So what that means is that for a student to go through our program, they have to take accountability for what they've done. That's where the A, accountable part comes in. The R part, restorative, means that we're going to be using restorative practices in order to support that student. And I can explain more what I mean about that in a minute. And then the Y and the S, the youth solutions, to me is the most exciting part. And that, what it means is that the program is basically run by students. We do have a handful of adults who are on staff with the RAISE program, myself and Steve, and then also we have a full-time RAISE counselor, Lori Collins. We have a couple of case managers, Rachel Jasper at Nevada Union and Sarah Keller at Bear River and Lyman Gilmore. But 90% of the work is done by the student teams at these sites. So that's the youth solutions part. So basically how RAISE works is a student makes a poor choice at school. Oftentimes it's substance use, but not always. We also work with other infractions like truancy, vandalism, a negative encounter with a teacher, things like that. And they may be given RAISE as an option by the administrator. So not all students are offered RAISE. The administration's been well trained on what type of situation we're looking for, because in order for our program to work, that student really needs to want to go through our program. It does not work well if a student is assigned to RAISE, because the process is pretty personal, it's involved, and so we really only work with students who want to go through our program. So let's say I get in trouble at school for vaping in the bathroom. And I go into the principal's office and they say, would you like to do OCI, which is the on-campus intervention, which is similar to suspension, except for it's on campus.
Like on-campus suspension in a room.
In a room. They do offer some supports there as well, but they're separated from their peers. They're in a classroom for the day or multiple days. So the administrator may say, would you like to do OCI or would you like to go through RAISE? And our team spends a lot of time every year promoting RAISE to their peers so they know what it is. So if they say to me, do you want to go through RAISE? I know what that means. And so if I choose it and I say, yes, I would like to go through that. I was vaping in the bathroom, so I'm taking accountability. Then I would get scheduled into a circle. And the circle is made up of team members in our program. At Nevada Union, for example, we have over 40 student team members. So on any given circle, there's about 5 or 6 of them, so they don't all sit on every circle. But during that circle, one of the students is the leader, and they all use a script that they're well trained on. And they spend a lot of time getting to know that student to see, like, what are they interested in? What's their home life like? What do they like to do outside of school? And then what are they struggling with? Do they need help with substance use? Do they need help with academics? And by the end of that circle, they come up with what we call a restorative plan for that student. Okay. And the way it works in our program is they have 30 school days to complete that plan. And one of the students who is supporting them on the circle volunteers to be their peer supporter. So they work very closely with that student.
So it's not on the journey.
No, it's not like, here's your plan. We'll see you in 30 days. Yeah, probably no plans would be completed if that was how it was. So they leave with that plan. They agree to it. And then they have about a month to get through that plan. And parts of that plan include things that are very restorative. So during their circle, they figure out who was impacted by their choice. So if I'm caught vaping in the bathroom, who caught me? Who else was in the bathroom? Who might have been impacted by that choice that I made? When it comes to things like vaping, many students tell us how tired they are of having to go into the bathroom, and there are students in there vaping. They don't want to be around it. So I would, talk with the team about who I felt I impacted. And then we would do something called a structured conversation, where I would have the opportunity to hear from the person that was impacted about how they were impacted and how it affected them. And then I would also have the opportunity to talk about why I made the choice that I did, what I've thought about since, how I would like to make the situation right. And that's a really powerful process where students typically feel a lot better after they have that opportunity to kind of make amends and clear the air with whoever they impacted.
Key piece though is that taking accountability. We see so many people not, and to teach our youth at a younger age, you messed up, that's okay. There's a way forward. And but you have to be accountable. You have to understand you did it. All right. Well, we're going to pause for a moment right here. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about the RAISE program in our schools.
In Nevada County, we believe in the power of education to transform lives. Whether you're a student, parent, or educator, the Nevada County Superintendent of Schools is here to support you every step of the way. From innovative programs to strong community partnerships, we are dedicated to empowering the next generation. Together, we're building a brighter future with quality education for all. Nevada County Superintendent of Schools, empowering education, strengthening communities. Let's make every student's success our priority. Learn more today at ncsos.org.
All right, welcome back to Ed Talk. We're talking with Marlene about the RAISE program in our schools. We've just gone through how it works. Now, one thing I hear about it is, who gets to be part of the RAISE, how it fits into the discipline matrix. Because there are some things, we talked about how you have to take accountability or you can't go through the program. But there are some more serious offenses a student might commit at a school that would not allow them to be part of the RAISE program. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So we don't do anything connected to physical violence. Okay. So if there's a physical fight on campus between two students, they would not be offered RAISE. And the reason for that is that since that accountability piece is such a big part of our program, in a situation like a fight, oftentimes there isn't one person wanting to take full accountability for the situation. And also oftentimes we have to be concerned about sort of re-traumatizing somebody by having these structured conversations. So if somebody was, really hurt physically, emotionally, that sort of thing, we need to be really careful that we're not going to re-traumatize them by talking about, so what happened, what were you thinking about? So we tend to work with less serious violations. So pretty much when we look at the discipline matrix, Anytime OCI is an option, for the most part, raise is also an option.
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of
so again,
where it fits into
OCI
that.
also doesn't work for more serious offenses either,
Correct.
right? It's
Yeah.
yeah, there is
Yes.
there are certain things in the discipline in the ed code that we have to suspend a student
yes.
for.
Exactly.
Yeah. So okay, that's there. Now, what is the success rate of the students for their accountability piece? They have 30 days to make amends for whatever infraction it was. How does where are you with that? Where's the program? Because I'm sure that'd be challenging. Most students would come in with the best intentions.
Right.
They've already admitted, yep, I did it, I was wrong, and they want to be successful. But how does it actually play out?
So pretty much all of our students who come into the program have that structured conversation. And part of that is because Steve and I meet with every student before they have their circle. And we talked to them a bit about this part, about the fact that every plan has this repairing harm component. And are they open to that? So if during the conversations we're having with students on what we call their intake, if we get the sense that they're not really accountable, often we'll refer them back to administration.
And then they might have to take the OCI route.
Then they would go and take the OCI route.
Probably don't want to do.
And some students actually, they might want to do that. They might want to go the OCI route because our program is a lot more work.
Yeah, 30 days.
30 days, right? Versus
day or
1 to 2
Saturday.
school days. And so we try to keep it about the same amount of time. So if you think of OCI being, a 7-hour school day or 6-hour school day, then we try to have their plan take about 6 to 7 hours to complete, but it's spread out over multiple weeks. So, and sometimes they go longer than that. Sometimes students really get into their plan. So a component of it that I haven't mentioned yet is every plan has something that we call a community engagement project. And it's not community service. It's not scraping gum, picking up trash. It's a project that student has in their plan that's based on their interests and things that they're passionate about, but gives back to the school in a positive way. So one thing that we find, not always, but oftentimes the students that we're supporting have lost sight of the things that they're interested in.
Right.
Maybe they used to really be into playing basketball or art or whatever it might be, but they tend to not do those things anymore. And oftentimes it's connected to their substance use, right? That becomes their number one sort of focus in their spare time. So we try to get them reconnected to things that they're passionate about and then also give back to their school community in a way that lifts that community up rather than negatively impacting it, which things like vaping on campus do. So we've had some amazing community engagement projects. We had one recently where a student was really into cooking and especially said that she had the best spaghetti sauce recipe around. And so we organized a spaghetti cook-off on campus. And we had different groups that could sign up. It was actually open to the whole school community. And they did their little spaghetti cook-off. And that was, a big hit. And we've had other times where students, maybe they're interested in the nursing profession or becoming a barber or things like that. And so they have helped organize special events on campus where a barber comes to campus and does a little demo or a nurse comes and talks about what it's like to be a nurse and the pros, the cons, that sort of thing. So they run the gamut depending on what that student's interest is. And so sometimes those things take longer and
I'm sure
sometimes
to organize it.
shorter.
What a great way to re-energize the student and get them into that. So I know we're getting near the end of the show. We got a couple more things to talk about, but before we talk about the exciting movie that's coming, documentary, how many students have gone through RAISE approximately?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're at the start of our 5th school year. So over the past 4 years, we have had over 250 students go through the RAISE program. And that number obviously continues to climb, but it's pretty exciting that we have supported that many students.
And I can tell our audience, I get to watch. I've seen a few circles and these students. And when we worry about our youth of today leading the world tomorrow, some of these kids, I have no worries at all. Their intuition, their insight, their accountability, their caring when they're when they're the advisors. It's amazing. So it's just empowering the kids. But
it's pretty inspiring.
But I want to get to, before we have to close down here, we've got a movie. You have got a documentary, which I was lucky enough to get a screening of it. But let's tell our audience, what is this, and when will it be available to public consumption?
So it's pretty exciting. I think I just sensed we were at the start of something pretty incredible when I got the funding to start the RAISE program. So for the past 3 school years, we have been filming sort of the process of how does a program like this get started? How does it impact the students going through, those supporting? What are the takeaways from it? And so it is now ready for release. And so we're doing a premiere on October 9th at the Del Oro Theater.
Okay, October 9th, Del Oro Theater.
It's a free community event, 7 p.m. The movie's called Rays of Change. And
an hour long.
It's an hour long.
So it's perfect time.
Yes,
you got to come to the Del Oro. Great place to see a movie.
Yes, and we will have our students who are in the film there. We'll do a Q&A with them. So we're pretty excited about it.
That is great, and
definitely proud of those students.
And it was very well done. I got to see it. Yeah, and very moving to watch the students. So I recommend any of our audience, if you are able to come out and see that, it's going to be great. Where is it going to go then after? Where is it going to live after the Del Oro experience? Will someone be able to go on to the website and click on it and watch it?
Yeah, probably eventually. At first, we are planning on submitting it to some film festivals, really getting it out there. Our hope is that schools from other areas will see this film and think, I want something similar.
I don't see how they couldn't.
Yeah, so that's the plan. And eventually I am sure it will be linked somewhere.
Perfect. We'll make sure it's viewable.
Yes.
Good. And then last question I got for our future of RAISE. Do we see this expanding into our other middle schools? We've got the high schools, most of the high schools covered there, but middle schools, it's great that Grass Valley School District jumped in to do it at Gilmore. Do we see it going down to Magnolia or Seven Hills? Yeah,
there's definitely interest there. Magnolia in particular has asked several times, when do we get RAISE? When do we get RAISE? So unfortunately at this point it all comes down to funding, I'm always looking.
We'll always look.
Our hope is, of course, that it can expand to other schools that want the program.
Great. Well, I'm so thrilled that you ended up getting that grant. You went to that presentation pre-pandemic, saw it, knew it could fly here in Nevada County, and now you've brought it here. Steve Hansen's done an amazing job, and the rest of your team. So thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to come out today and tell us a little bit about it. I want to thank our audience for tuning in, and if you want to learn more about RAISE, there's a link on our Superintendent Schools webpage. Go on there, click on it, and come out on October 9th,
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Del Oro Theater. You will not regret it. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thank you.